Hi, everyone. Welcome to Drop In with Barb and Lauren. I'm Lauren Lanham.
And I'm Barb Franzino.
All right, so today we are going to put a spotlight on Yoga Nidra. And both of us are certified Yoga Nidra teachers. Yoga Nidra is a form of meditation, of which there are many forms, and we can talk about different forms, but Yoga Nidra is a very simple way to start to meditate, and we'll talk a lot about that. But I just wanted to kind of link to what we said last podcast, which is we talked a lot about pressing the pause button and taking a moment before you respond, and how helpful that is. But some people might be thinking like, well, how do I do that? Like, how do I even remember to press the pause button? Because it's not necessarily intuitive. It doesn't just happen automatically. You have to really think about it. And in my opinion, practicing meditation is a way to really tap into your ability to press the pause button, which is probably the main reason why I personally practice meditation, so that I can have that tool in my toolkit about being able to stop, pause, breathe, and then respond. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think that it definitely ties into everything that we've been, the last few episodes, because this ability to really cultivate that sense of being able to step back, really, I feel like happens as we do all of these practices, and all of this is a practice. So Yoga Nidra is a form of meditation, different meditations or practices. Even if you're someone who does yoga, they're a practice, right? That the idea is, as you practice these things in a situation that's like more controlled. So during the Yoga Nidra, you're, lying down and you're listening to a guided meditation. You begin to be able to recognize, right, that your thoughts are just thoughts, and that you can begin to, in this moment when something happens and your autonomic nervous system and your stress response is sort of turned on, because you've been working on these practices to teach your body how to sort of regulate that response in these periods of time in regular life. When something comes up, you have more access to that ability to be able to regulate your own nervous system, recognize like what's triggering you, what thoughts are coming in, and that they are something that you can sort of allow to move through you, and then respond in a more, sort of healthy way for yourself. And that to me is like one of the biggest benefits of all the practices, meditation, yoga, movement, is this ability to begin to understand your response in your body to stressful things, how that literally feels like somatically in your body. And then this really like power that you get in knowing that you have the ability to choose how you're responding. So the
Yeah,
Yoga Nidra that we both do is from the Amaranth Institute. It's really an interesting, there's different types of Yoga Nidra. What I like best about this particular one is the fact that it has energy in it, right? And so it actually moves energy through the body as you're going through this guided meditation, so that that energy can help remove blockages, remove obstacles. And it's done in a very, like Lauren said, it's so easy. When I first started meditating, I was like, I can't sit, I can't meditate. And then I got introduced to this practice where you lie down on the floor, totally comfortable, and someone takes you through this guided meditation, and you wake up from it in this like state of more clarity, almost like pretty much after the first session. Don't you think? Like,
definitely. I felt that right away.
yeah, you're like, whoa, what did I just do? Right. And so that's why I think both of us really love this form. And even if you practice other forms of meditation, it's a nice other thing in your toolbox, right? To begin to help you, cultivate this ability to recognize where your nervous system is and how to regulate it, right?
Well, I want to just take a step back for a sec, because the last two times we talked a lot about boundaries. And, it's funny, we didn't talk about boundaries from the perspective of stress, but for many people, creating boundaries and holding boundaries is stressful.
Yeah.
And I talked about that it's hard to do, but it actually causes the stress response. And so I feel like we should talk about the stress response for a sec, just so people like have that baseline knowledge. So when you are feeling, let's see, what's a good way? When you are feeling threatened in any way, whether it's a real threat or a perceived threat. So it doesn't have to be a bear coming at you. It can be like, oh, this person is going to be upset when I say no to something. Like, you're just thinking that in your head. It's not necessarily happening. That person might be totally fine with it, but in your mind, you've thought, oh, this is going to not go well. You start to experience the stress response of secreting certain hormones. Your heart rate could increase. Lots of other factors that cause you distress in your body, that if you're someone who experiences that on a regular basis, can cause harm over time. I mean, I know that's another podcast, but even in a small degree of feeling that stressful, like, oh, what's going to happen? I've got to do something that I'm not comfortable with. Even discomfort can have a small stress response. That's when we want to start to focus on the breath, use our tools, create a boundary, press the pause button. And the yoga nidra practice that we're talking about now is a great way to cultivate the ability to realize you're in stress and to calm it down. So if you don't have time to do a 20 or 30-minute meditation, which we recommend you do as much as possible, even just stepping back and breathing can start to calm the stress response. Because what we do want to do is go into that parasympathetic nervous system that secretes the happy hormones, the calm hormones, the ones that allow you to respond instead of react with a knee-jerk reflex that you might not really want to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So I think a stress response podcast is definitely in.
okay.
Right? Because there's so much we could say. I know we're always coming up with the next thing as we're talking about, but a couple of things I want to say, adding to what you are saying, is the stress response is normal, right? So when like you were saying, the example of like you're in the woods and a bear comes, and then your body goes into this like stress response because it's a fight flight. It has to decide what it needs to do, right? What happens is that should happen, and then when the bear leaves, the stress should go down, right? So we're moving through this whole ebb and flow of parasympathetic, rest and restore, stress, back up and down, like all throughout the day, and that's normal. And what you're saying, is when the body is kind of stuck, like in these stress responses, right? So each time something happens that's stressful, maybe we're driving along and there's a lot of traffic, or we have a confrontation with a friend or a family member, right? The body is like continuing to build up stress, and it's never getting itself back into that parasympathetic, right? And why is it important for us to go to parasympathetic? Because that's where the body like restores itself, right? That's where healing happens. That's where it restores itself. And so yoga nidra is a great way to take the body down into the parasympathetic. And one of the things I also really love about it is, in this type of yoga nidra that we do, once we get all the way down into the parasympathetic, where we're sort of resting, like at the bottom of the ocean, they use that term. we place an intention in there, right? And so that intention might be, I replace fear and anxiety with faith and trust. I am enough, whatever the intention is. What I find really useful is that intention that I placed in there. If let's say it's about a fear around something, maybe like fear around a health situation. When I start to feel myself getting myself worked up around that, and I can feel the triggers in my body, I take that step back and pause, do my breath, and I repeat the intention. And it's like it kind of pulls you like out of that up here stress back down into that parasympathetic, because in the practice that you were doing of the yoga nidra, your body is now like, oh yeah, like that's where I'm going, right? Like, and that's one of the things I super, super love about this particular style of yoga nidra. So
yes. And also, like, sometimes triggers send us into a place of tension and stress because we're used to it and we just go there right away. It's like a mindless, you don't even have to think about it. It's a default place. So when you do yoga nidra and cultivate that ability to go to the bottom of the ocean, like you said, you get used to doing that too. So maybe you can replace or have a quicker lag time in between getting stressed out and decompressing. And so, like, let's talk about the bottom of the ocean. So
okay,
with yoga nidra, it's a cycle that brings you down into slower brain wave places so that everything slows down. So when we're stressed, our mind is usually darting all over the place and we're thinking very quickly. But the yoga nidra creates this safety and comfort and a place where you can rest, trust, and slow down. And then your brain responds, and that's where a lot of hormones get released in the brain. And it is slow. It's the person who's offering it, because it's a guided meditation, so someone is talking the whole time, they speak slowly, they pause a lot in between. It's not the kind of thing you would want to listen to when you're having a conversation, right? You've got to be in a relaxed state so that you can let the energy in and respond to it. It's not hypnosis, and it's not being asleep, although sometimes people do fall asleep, myself included. I fall asleep a lot when I listen to yoga nidra, which is fine.
Yeah, because then that just means that's what your body needs, right?
Yeah. And nidra means sleep. So there is an element of sleep to it. And when your body needs to sleep, boy, it is so healthful. I mean,
yeah,
in our world. Well, that's the other
one. We don't get enough rest, right? So, and it's in resting, right, where our body restores itself.
And it's so we're going to do on around sleep.
Yeah. And it's so funny because when you were talking about just a couple of step backs, like how we kind of live in this state of stress and the body just goes there. I'm always like, why does the body stay in stress and not easily go back into, right, the parasympathetic? And it doesn't. Our world is so full of like overstimulation. And so in order to get us to go there where we normally should just, and the body just normally should be fluctuating, but we're staying like way up in the more stress zone. In order to do that, we need to practice. We need to practice how to get out of it, right? Which is so interesting that we don't have to practice how to be in stress, but we have to practice how to be out of stress, right?
I mean, I hear you, but we do practice being in stress because it's always there. It's like we're not trying to practice, but we do it all the freaking time.
Right.
And we don't do the opposite, which is unplug, de-stress, like just take a break. Like once you get into that heightened place of stimulation, it's really hard to unplug.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss, it's that FOMO or whatever. Like we're all in that place now. There's TV screens everywhere and stimulation everywhere. And it's overwhelming. I mean, your phone is dinging, that's number one, like turn off all the sounds on your phone, because that can
Well,
be
when you're doing the when you're doing the process.
anytime. You
Yeah,
don't
I
need.
know. It's so true. But before we explain a little bit more, like I think it could be helpful to just explain like the process of what happens during a yoga nidra.
Okay.
There has been real studies done, like evidence-based studies, to tell us the benefits of being in a yoga nidra, right? And so we know that it can reduce blood pressure, it can reduce heart rate back to like a more healthful level, right? It increases serotonin, and serotonin is the hormone in the body that makes you feel well, right? It increases melatonin, which helps us with sleeping, getting a more restful sleep. Dopamine, it increases endorphin. So it does all this like great increasing of hormones that make you feel good, right? And then it also increases hormones that help to allow you to sleep, allow you to rest, right? And it decreases cortisol, which is, we know, the stress hormone, and we know the effect that cortisol has on the body, the effect that it has on the immune system, the hormonal system. And so
Mhm.
if we can have a practice that we know helps to reduce the level of cortisol, like right there in and of itself, you're already doing something healing for your body, right? And that's, those are real tangible things that they've studied, that we know that this is something that happens when you do a meditation. This was specific to the Yoga Nidra meditations. And I believe that they had said, in order to get the maximum amount of benefit, if you did 10 in a row, do you remember that? Or something like that, 10
Specific track.
from, yeah. Like if you did 10, or it was like 10 or 12 days in a row, you committed to, anywhere from like a 15 to 30-minute practice of yoga nidra, you're gonna see real substantial changes in these hormone levels and physiological changes in your body, which is so amazing. It's so powerful. Something so
So
simple.
cool. And I venture to say it's 100% positive.
Yes.
There's no downside to meditation.
No.
It's like
Right.
the only thing
Exactly.
I can think of. It has zero downside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can also
So,
do it for less if you're the kind of person that just doesn't have, or you don't think you have the time to do 30 minutes,
mhm,
even 10 minutes. I mean, there are times when I'll do 5 or 10 minutes, and even that,
mhm,
I think the effects are cumulative. So really, as much as possible, getting in
mhm.
touch with your inner energy to any degree is going to help you. Yes, of course, doing it for longer is going to be more effective.
Yeah. And so typically in the yoga nidra that we do and practice, um, so it's done lying down in a comfortable position, pillows under your knees, pillow under your head, blanket over your body. Like, so already you're just in this place of complete support and comfort, right? You lie down, you close your eyes, and then the person leading the meditation will begin to take you through the meditation. And in the Amarit Institute Yoga Nidra, it's a very sort of specific enter in, right? So that it's like you're starting off sort of at the top, where we'll do some physical work, where you're recognizing your body. Then there's be some breath work, right? Also that it's bringing you from the outermost layers of your body, which in, I don't know, the Sanskrit world, the koshas, right? These are these layers in the body, right? So bringing you from the outermost layer down into this space of what they call bottom of the ocean, which is sort of the bliss layer, right? And in that place, you rest for a period of time in sort of silence at that moment as you drop down into this space. Like, imagine it's a wave. You start at the top of the wave, you come down in the wave, now you're resting at the bottom. an intention is placed there, right? And then they slowly begin to bring you back up and out back to the physical body. So it's this really nice journey of moving outward in and then inward back out. And although you're not going to really like recognize that's what's happening as you're being brought through this, your body recognizes that that's what's happening, which is
Yes,
so amazing.
it is. And the way it's done is by listening to the voice and just following the voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear a lot of my newer students say, my mind is racing. I can't quiet my mind. And so that's what's so beautiful about Yoga Nidra is that the person who's leading the class or meditation is talking softly the whole time. And you're giving your mind something to focus on so that it isn't racing.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to mention something else around that. So meditation is about being present. And when we are present, we're in the moment, which means we're not thinking about regretting what we did or didn't do. We're not worried about what we're going to do or not going to do, but we're experiencing what's happening right now. And that in and of itself is calming for the body and the mind to be present. I mean, they say even if you're doing something that you aren't necessarily enjoying, if you're really into it, it's going to have a more positive effect on your body. And if you're distracted doing something even that you like to do, you're not going to get the benefits of it. So it's so much about being present in what you're doing, or in this case, not doing, because you're just lying there doing nothing. But sound, sensation, and breath, those are the three things I use as a yoga teacher to try to get people as present as possible. And that's exactly what is happening in the introduction of Yoga Nidra, right? You're focusing on the person's voice, the sound, you're focusing on sensations in the body and your own breath. And there is a lot of guided breathing also in a Yoga Nidra. It's so much about staying present. And then, maybe your brain starts to slow down so much that you do fall asleep, which is fine, or not. And just staying connected in the moment in and of itself is so healthy. And then the added benefit of inserting the intention that is going to play in your body. You don't have to think about it. And that's my favorite part. No
I
thinking.
know, you don't have to think about it. And somehow it gets planted in there. And, the power of the intention is that it is literally changing pathways, right? From limiting beliefs in your body. We all have limiting beliefs. So the power of the intention is to begin to change those patterns. So those limiting beliefs of what is sort of holding you back, the obstacles, the blockages, right? As the intention comes in, literally what it's doing is it's using the energy of that intention, which is like a more positive energy, to sort of move through the energy of what's limiting for you and holding you back, so that when you come out the other side, right, you have begun to change some of that that belief system that is holding you back, right? And that's again such a beautiful part of this practice,
Yes.
without having to really honestly do much. And I know that sounds crazy, right? Because you're like, well, I'm just laying there, I'm not doing anything, they're just talking to you, but how could that be doing anything? But it does. It's that powerful, right?
Because the body responds to doing things on a regular basis, right? A couple months ago, we talked about intention, and intention is creating a phrase or a thought process that you will repeat to yourself, which is a very simple thing to do. I say no when I need to, like, just keep saying it over and over again. And that could be a Yoga Nidra intention for yourself. It's the simple things that seem to end up being the most powerful, and the body will respond. it's easy for the mind to override the body when it's not yelling at it, right? Like if you're in a lot of pain, yes, you will listen to your body. But if just like, oh, my shoulder is kind of bothering me, but I'm just going to ignore it. We do that all the time. Think back to things for whether you just had to work and you like you couldn't, or I'm starving, but I have to go do this right now, so I'm going to take care of that later. Like our mind can override our body to a point. That's how powerful the mind is, but the body is talking to you all the time. It's that like wiser voice, because the mind could be telling you something that's not true.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
And so
something that's just not helpful, like at all,
those limiting beliefs, right, that are in your head,
Yeah.
to change that program and to insert it into your body so that you can
Yeah.
literally embody your new intention. That's what's so brilliant about Yoga Nidra, that you just don't have to do anything except.
I know. You don't have to lay there and listen, literally.
We highly encourage everyone to try it. We will. We should link to some
Yeah,
Yoga
we
Nidra.
could put links into Yoga Nidras. Like I have some on a YouTube channel, and I'm sure you have some also. And then
Yeah,
there's also,
so we'll
of
do
course,
that.
nowadays you can find,
Yes,
different ones anywhere.
meditation.
But yeah, and I would say like, start with a shorter one, see if you can allocate yourself 15 or 20 minutes at some point during the day. Again, you're going to also find what part of the day works better for you. Like I generally don't do a yoga nidra in the beginning of the day. The beginning of the day, I will sit and do more of a breath work meditation. But at the end of the day, like late in the afternoon, it's just so lovely. Right before bed, it's really great and can really help you, with sleep problems. So many of us have trouble sleeping, especially women and postmenopausal women, perimenopausal women. And this is a really great tool before bed to help you be able to get a better, more healthy night's sleep. So yeah, we can link some of that in the here in order for you guys to be able to try some.
Yeah, because I mean, think about this as part of your self-care program that you're creating a restful prep before you sleep. And even if you do it, earlier in the day, you're still creating that for yourself as a
Yes.
wind down. I'm like you, I do it later in the day, normally also, maybe a little earlier, like 3 or 4. Just 30 minutes on a regular basis has really been transformational in my life.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Well,
All
can I
right.
know we could talk all day about this, and we will
Yes.
talk more about it. But we wanted to encourage everybody to try a yoga nidra, and we'll talk more about other forms of meditation in the future. But it will help you press that pause button for sure.
Yep. Yeah, it's like just try it out. See what works for you. Right? I mean, and yes, that's exactly what we're trying to help you all be able to sort of drop into your own self, like get to really understand, sort of what makes you, what triggers you, what doesn't trigger you, what calms you down, how to use the breath, right? And then this is just another way to allow your body to get to that place to understand what it feels like to be in the parasympathetic. So in the day-to-day practice, when something comes up, you can find your way back there. It's like finding your way home, honestly.
Right. Finding your way home. Like, I notice I'm here, and what am I going to do to get back there? Get
Yes,
back.
100%. Love it.
All
All
right.
right,
Well,
that's a wrap.
that's a wrap for today. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Drop In was produced by Barbara Franzino and Lauren Lanham. Original music by Jesse Lanham. You can email us at dropin2023@gmail.com. That's DROPIN 2023@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit subscribe and give the episode a thumbs up. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time on Drop In.